y'all don't really want it like, yeah. Here comes the, no. Here comes the, oh. Here comes the, y'all don't really want it like, yeah. Here comes the, no. Here comes the, oh. Here comes the.
Hey, and welcome to Sooner Soundwaves, episode 12. I'm Iceberg. Alongside me is the Goodfella and St. Pablo.
Sooner.
Here on episode 12, we're going to celebrate the victory of the OU Sooners going to Knoxville, Tennessee, knocking off the Tennessee Volunteers 33-27 in a hard-fought game all the way down to the end. Gentlemen, what a win for the Sooners. St. Pablo, you look like you have victory in your hands. Let's start with you. What are your thoughts on the game?
Well, I am very excited, and I hear they do this in after Tennessee games and victories, and I hear that even in a defeat that the opposing team celebrates with a cigar. So I wanted to give a big shout out to the Goodfella and say thank you for the 10-year stogie, celebrating 10 years of the three of us at the Red River rivalry. Although it didn't go as expected, what we hoped for, it still was a great celebration, just like this game on the road for the OU Sooners, and just awesome to watch the Sooners rebound in the way that they did. Not sure that a lot of people picked them, but defiantly and in the minority, I believed in the Sooners and picked them last week to win this ball game. Was the last week, yeah, to win, and they did, and they came through. Great win on the road, huge environment, 100,000 plus people. They had the blackout. Goodfella, again, thank you for the shirt. Instead of wearing the black version, I went with white in opposition to the Tennessee blackout on a rocky top. I am protesting in victory for the Sooners. So just a great night, a lot of fun to watch. Love to see the Sooners get their takeaways. Love to see the R. Mason Thomas come on, the best part of the whole night. Just watching this guy refusing to go down. You cannot just tackle him. I mean, you've got to get 3 or 4 guys. One guy's not taking him down. And it was awesome to watch him score a touchdown. That to me was obviously was the big momentum shift, because Tennessee was driving, looked like they're about to go up 14-0. Instead, you flip that script, and here comes our Mason Thomas with a touchdown, even though it tweaked hammy, and I hope he's he's fine and will be ready for Alabama in another week or so. But that was awesome. And I'll just pause there because I'm kind of in celebration mode. I know there's a lot to talk about this game, and we got a lot to talk about. So I'm just going to continue to celebrate and punt the ball away to you guys.
Yeah, let me jump in here. First off, I felt like that was probably one of the most enjoyable games to watch. It was a night game. I believe, kickoff with 6:30-ish. It felt like the longest televised game in a very long time. But amazing. You talk about Sooner magic. You talk about probably one of the best plays that will probably go down outside of the Superman play. But I would put this play with R. Mason Thomas running the back, but Heineke with the amazing off the edge hit, causing the fumble, which we'll talk more about him in a second. But that one play turned around the entire game. I went back and I started watching it more and more. It was surprising to see that Tennessee gave up on that play. If you go back and look, he fought that defender for maybe almost 20 yards, and I never saw a receiver, a back, or any specialty player run down the field to even attempt to make a tackle. Like they just gave up on that play. Right? Like he was limping the last 10 yards into the end zone. Yes, he was surrounded by Sooners, but all you saw was maybe a lineman or two coming down and trying to make a tackle, but no specialty. So it lets me know they kind of gave up in terms of that point of the game. Man, listen, watching that game, we gave Mateer a lot of and he still didn't have his best game of the year. And I don't want to, pretend like he did. But what I didn't know or probably forgot is that he did have a knee injury early on in the season. And I think Brent Venables talked about that on the show on Monday in regards to he felt like second half, whatever conversation was had in the locker room, Mateer felt better. So his performance in terms of scrambling, moving out the pocket was definitely a night and day difference from the first half to the second half. His ability, like that is his superpower in terms of moving the offense around. St. Pablo, you mentioned one thing that we have to get better at is the run game. And we dominated the run game all game long. Our offensive line, I think we found our starting five. They're young. They're not experienced, but they're playing football. Like they are pushing people around on the defensive line and giving us an opportunity to run. So I'm excited to see what happens as we move forward the next 3 games of the season. I think we have you might have crowned this guy as the best kicker in college football. I hope he stays one more year, but kicking as well as he's kicking and how difficult those kicking jobs are in the NFL, I'm just hoping we can keep him again. So he's a single-handedly, he can win football games for us to go out there. And I think it was 3 over 50 yards, but he made 4 on the nights. So what an amazing game, start to finish, for the OU Sooners. I'll stop there. I do want to talk about defense if you guys go back in there, but I'll wait on defense. But I just want to give our offense some props in terms of their second half performance and never giving up and always giving our defense a chance to play good football. So.
Yeah, obviously a lot to talk about going into a bye week. We'll spend most of our time here in the Tennessee recap. First and foremost, I do want to give a shout out to Mr. Nicholas Wills for the comment on YouTube. Appreciate the comment on YouTube. A lot to say about the Mateer discussion that we had, which looking back was a 10-minute long discussion last week. And then also talking about Cortland Guillory and his abilities at the cornerback position. So Nicholas, appreciate you for making that comment. The rest of our viewers, please feel free to comment. Love to answer questions that you have or anything as we move forward. From my perspective, this was one of the better performances of the year for the entire Sooner team. Felt like the first quarter, other than R. Mason Thomas's return, was a little lackluster. I will say this, just kind of breaking down that play. Heineke comes relatively free. I think the right tackle thought he had running back help and then realized that there wasn't any running back help. And Heineke put his helmet in the right spot, knocked the ball free. Couldn't have been any more perfect of a bounce right up into R. Mason's hands or hand up, I guess I should say. And then, from then it was straight man power play. I've watched the highlight probably 20 to 30 times back over. And as you mentioned, Goodfella, he stiff armed and kept that guy off of him for about 20 yards. I thought I think it was the tight end. I thought his effort was a little lackluster to try to bring him down. But then I think, one of the things we take for granted is R. Mason Thomas's speed. And, I see it a lot of times when he's chasing down plays, but you see it here too. Like he's running away from that tight end at the same time that he's stiff arming him. And I think the team just, it was so far behind the play that the rest of the Tennessee Volunteers didn't really understand what was happening. On social media, there was a little bit of a clip from the Sooner media team of R. Mason watching the playback, and he made a comment to say that if he knew he had a full police escort, meaning the 4 or 5 Sooners around him, he probably wouldn't have done what he did to his leg, because he thought he had to sprint to beat the wide receivers and everybody. And so anyway, that was interesting to hear. Owen Heineke, I believe he was the SEC Defensive Player of the Week with 13 solo tackles. Finally, the defense gets 2 takeaways in the interceptions. Linebacking crew played well. And I think that's mostly due to the defensive line. I think the defensive line held up the O-line enough to where the linebackers could move where they needed to. Xavier Robinson, he's our running back. I don't know where he was or why he wasn't getting the carries beginning of the year. Maybe it was the scheme he didn't quite understand. I don't know. But the kid is good. The kid is powerful. The kid is fast. Just amazed. 16 carries. I think he had 7.2 yards per carry. Just very impressed with him. Tate Sandell, he's probably the MVP here. Just one, keeping you in the game, getting points where, 55-yarders, guys, aren't a guarantee by any means. 55-yarders are stretching folks. So the ability to kick 2 55-yarders and then just to remain perfect is really a weapon. And we've mentioned this in the previous weeks, a weapon we haven't had in a long time. So that was really nice to see. And I will finish my portion of this first part with Mateer. As I mentioned, 10-minute conversation last week about Mateer being an average quarterback. But one of the things I did mention was if he would just manage the game and work with what's in front of him, and instead of trying to force things, I feel like he could be an above-average quarterback. Second half of this game, I feel like I saw an above-average quarterback. I think he let things happen. I think he only ran when he had to. He put the ball where it needed to be. Other than the pick, which I don't necessarily understand. So I've heard Venables and I've heard Arbuckle talk about that play. It's the real tight formation, the real bunch, and it was a straight run. It was
Run
a straight.
ball.
They've both said straight run. Shouldn't have been a pass. But then Arbuckle says, but I did tag a slant on it. So to me, and I don't understand the whole RPO because I never coached in it, but to me that means he could have pulled him through the slant if he wanted to. That's what Arbuckle means by tagging it, but it wasn't there, so he should have just gave it. Fine. It was a mistake. It happens. But for the most part, I thought, Mateer kept us in that game to give us the ability to pull out that win. So, St. Pablo, above average second half for John Mateer, in my opinion.
Yeah, in the quintessential John Mateer, the moment when he's with Arbuckle on that bench and Arbuckle puts his arm around him and he literally can lip read it, "You're back." And it was about the same time the announcers were saying it. But the key moment in that ball game for John Mateer, it was like we got a penalty or something. I don't even remember what the score was, but it was like 3rd and 19.
16. 3rd and 16.
3rd and 16. And the announcer says, well, they won't get a first down here. And literally right after that, he runs and he runs a first down in that situation. It kept that drive alive. And that is what you get out of John Mateer, these clutch moments. And, again, for him to roll back, and whatever his health level is, he will never say, because he is just the man in the arena type attitude. He's not going to ever reveal that. And he just wants to play football and he wants to be back, and he's back, and he played really, really well. I would agree with you on your assessment on that interception at the end. Those are things those are critical things in the SEC. That and Xavier Robinson's fumble. You saw a literal punch at the football. This is SEC football. You go into Tuscaloosa, Alabama, which I know we'll talk about at a different time. I mean, these are in order to win on the road, you cannot have those kind of mental mistakes. You won't get away with it in Alabama. We did get away with this one out there in Tennessee. I'll give you a shout out though, Iceberg. You said something that did stick with me and made me a little confident in my pick with Oklahoma, because you mentioned that Oklahoma is better this year and Tennessee is not as good as they were last year. And so I felt that way too. Now, winning on the road and in that kind of environment is super hard. And I think that's why the Sooners bumped up so much, because it's a big, big road victory in the SEC. But that is a true assessment of where we're at. We're a very good football team. We have 3 games left. Every game is winnable. We've mentioned this. If you have those mental mistakes, if you let down the pressure right now, you can lose all 3 as well. And so you're going to have to play your best football, particularly coming up, but you can't make those kind of mistakes, because that was a critical interception that could have cost us that football game. Tennessee can score at will, and I was nervous all the way to the end because they had a chance till that final onside kick. So,
yeah, he's not perfect. I think he just made that, his decision making has not been the best in the past 3 or 4 weeks. That's definitely a run ball. At that time, we don't even need to throw the ball, and there's no reason to throw. Just run the ball. But then also, I'm watching him, his mechanics. I'm not sure where this hop pass came from. He was jumping, hopping.
Oh yeah.
Like, what is going on with, so again, there's still some nerve, there's still things he's working out. But when it's time to be clutched on Saturday, he was clutch. And our defense, I think he is pretty lucky. We are pretty lucky. I say to him, we are pretty lucky to know that we do have a reliable defense that can go out there and make some stops. I think the 2 turnovers that we did have, they came on like very important drives, like one before halftime, which is a huge deal, gave us a swing, and then we got the ball back, and then one towards the end of the game. Like, those are, big clutch interceptions that we've been looking for all year, and to get them in that type of package, like, I'll take that. But in that same vein, he can't really, rely on the defense to have to pull us out every single time, which they will, but set them up to where they're not having to do that, game in, game out.
On those Goodfella, on those interceptions and the turnovers that you're talking about, the one thing I'd say too, that where you see how athletic this OU defense is,
huge.
That interception, the return back, he takes it back 25, 30 yards. Our Mason's fumble recovery for a 60-yard touchdown it's unbelievable to see how athletic they are. It's not just a turnover. They're picking up chunks of yardage, when they make these interceptions. They're so athletic. I mean, he was down the field quickly after that interception. So sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you, but you're exactly right.
Both interceptions were for 37 yards, which is really interesting. Both of them were for exactly 37 yards. The one, in my opinion, right before half, I think it was right before half, was really a 6-point swing.
Yeah.
We returned it far enough to where we were in, so maybe it wasn't the first half. We were in Sandell's field goal range and ended up getting a field goal out of it. They probably were driving to get into field goal range, really close to it, and we completely flipped that.
Yeah, so that those key plays are they were important, but again, I think it was a complementary game with offense and defense and special teams, and they made up for the week before when we had some pretty upsetting special team plays. But I think they made up for it. I mean, great game, great night. Again, one of the longest games I felt. I think it started at 6:30, and it wasn't over until 9:30, 10. It was
It
a
was
long
long,
game. It was like,
long
whoa.
game.
So yeah,
Long
and shout out to the defense. I think our defense again, they held it down. So
Yeah, even with giving up over 400
hey,
yards.
Yeah. OU gives up over 450 yards at 456.
hey, and give it up to the freshman Gregory, man. Listen, cornerback is. We can have a discussion later on about this. That might be the toughest outside of quarterback, the toughest position on the field. Right? One, you don't know the play. Two, sometimes your back is turned. I mean, you're running down the field every single play, just about. Like you have to have pretty tough skin and then a short memory. And I'd say this Gregory kid, he didn't make all the best plays, but he held what's our guy's name? Number 14. What's his name? Stanley, right? Under 100 yards. He's been getting 100-yard receptions multiple games, and they didn't have a receiver over 100 yards.
No. Yeah.
So, man.
Yeah, Guillory, and the thing about, we said this going in, it's the number one SEC offense, and I think in the first quarter, I don't know what Josh Heupel is doing to prepare his offense for the first quarter, but they scored a lot of points in the first quarter, and after that we held him pretty good. So, and he gets picked on a lot. Guillory gets picked on a lot as a freshman. And he has stood up to the test multiple times.
Satania, again, though, comes in too as a clutch player, when needed in those clutch moments. He had so many catches that were just clutch moments to keep drives alive. And the guy that I was thinking of last week, Carmichael, he hadn't been out much, but he's caught a few passes. He had some pretty big catches in this ball game.
I'm talking about Michael Carter.
Yes, sorry. Yes,
you're good.
And Burks he had some clutch moments also. Everybody just kind of stepped up to the moment, and you couldn't ask for anything better out of the Sooners.
I was really impressed with our O-line, and I know Goodfella, you mentioned it too. I don't know if I'm sold on the fact that we've found our 5 starters, because I think we've got a lot of guys that are still injured. But what I was happy to see is the guys that we put out there. They really started working people, and I don't know if it's technique or changes in scheme or what the case was, but we even had a couple freshmen out there that were performing very, very well and making key blocks in an effort for Xavier Robinson. I mean, 7.2 yards per carry. It's pretty good.
Yeah, they're doing enough. I agree. I'm not sure. I'm not really sold completely, but in regards to they're all young, so like we have time to develop those athletes and to have a complementary offense and defense. So I'm excited to see what happens with them.
Absolutely.
Well, the depth of the OU defense to continue to get pressure throughout the night when our Mason Thomas and, oh my goodness, why am I drawing a blank? Who else was on the bench? We had another.
Kobe McKenzie's a linebacker.
Yeah, thank you. When those 2 of your top players are out on defense, but you have so much depth, we come back, with these guys, and they're getting pressure that was one thing that we were confident in, that was consistent all night. We were still getting to the quarterback and causing some havoc. And so that was good to see.
Was good to see. Final thoughts on OU Tennessee.
Again, goes down to the instant classic game. I'm glad we were able to get our look back this year. We are, in my mind, right where we need to be in terms of what it looks like for playoff selection. I'm okay with being on the outside looking in. I think this is a good pressure to have going into a bye week and preparing for Alabama. I think Brent Biddle said this after the game. which he was so animated, so fired up. I'm not sure if you guys caught it, but he was pretty much saying it out of his mouth. You got to put some respect on this name.
Yeah.
Like, you have to put respect on this jersey, on this name, on this jersey, and do not downplay the OU Sooners. If you do, we are taking those receipts and we are preparing each week to win. So he's fired up for Alabama. I love the bye week going into it. So let's go.
Yeah.
Well,
Bye
we'll
week.
hear- Sir, go ahead.
Nope, go. St. Pablo.
Well, the video intro that we have our videographer. They'll be adding some highlights for next season. One of them will be the Kendall Daniels hit in the Michigan ball game, and like you mentioned with the Superman, I thought that was really good. Goodfella. The R. Mason Thomas clip will be in there. It'll be great to watch over and over as we start out. So, Boomer Sooner. It was awesome.
It was awesome. Great win in Knoxville, Tennessee. I had a buddy of mine that actually went to the game, and Knoxville is one of those. I would, if you gave me any SEC stadium to go to, and I would want to go to Neyland Stadium at night. Like, that place looks fun.
Yeah.
They do the lights. They even do a light show with people on the field, and it looks like a tremendous place to play. And so that was fun to watch, and it was really fun to come out of that with a victory heading into the bye week. One of the things that was a little bit disappointing was some of the tackling. So hopefully we can, look at some of those things and in the words of the Goodfella, bring your hands to the party and quit trying to just shoulder shrug everybody. We had a couple big plays and one touchdown with the inability to bring the hands, right, Goodfella?
Bring the hands. Yeah, I did mention that. They're making these nice hits, but if you don't bring your hands, like, hey, I want to whisper in the ear, hey guys, we're not in the Big 12 anymore.
Yeah.
Like, you're gonna have to tackle with your hands.
Absolutely.
Well, and it goes back to your Brett Venables comment. Those were all good, and he said, we win this game, we're resilient, all those things. With the 450 yards, though, he said 450 yards gives me a lot of stuff to really chew at these guys for this next couple weeks.
Yeah.
And I thought that was good. I mean, yeah, it was a great game, but there's a lot to learn from it. So,
absolutely. Okay, Sooners come out victorious 33-27. College football playoff rankings come out this week. As Goodfella mentioned, we are listed at number 12. And so we are on the outside looking in with the whole concept of who gets in how to the college football playoff, with Memphis being the mid-major. It's set up for Alabama, not this week, but next, in a big-time matchup in Tuscaloosa at 2:30, a 2:30 kickoff, which will be a lot of fun. A lot out there for the Sooners to go grab if they want it. We'll talk more about Alabama next week. Let's get into the locks of the week from last week. Let's see here. I'm not on the moral victory wagon that sometimes St. Pablo can get. I took Georgia to 7.5-point favorite over Florida. They did take a knee and not get into the end zone. So I lost, moving me to 7-4. Okay, so Georgia didn't win by 7.5 over Florida. Iceberg moves to 7-4. This week I will take Oregon as a 6-point favorite over Iowa. I mean, if Oregon can't beat Iowa by more than 6, even though it's at Iowa, I don't think Oregon is what we thought Oregon was.
Yeah.
Okay. Who wants to go next?
I'll go next. I'm really ticked off about what took place on Saturday with my pick. Dabo had one job. He had one job. You have to beat Duke. You have to beat Duke, right?
All right.
He mentioned at his press conference that he should be fired. I might get fired. He didn't get fired, guys. He still has a job. He's still employed. He'll be coaching on Saturday. But guess what? I am picking that game, but I am not picking them to win. I am picking Florida State. They are plus 2.5 against Clemson. Clemson is favored at home with Florida State coming down or going up. They will dominate Clemson at home.
That's a big game.
The game
That's a big game.
that Dabo stays home. Not in the locker room. His key will not work come Sunday morning if he loses this game.
That's a good point. That's a good. So here's what I want to do, and this is off the script here. After Goodfella's lock of the week, I want to get into the coaching carousel that is 2025. Okay, so Goodfella or St. Pablo, what's your lock of the week?
Well, it is a beautiful week because you know the Sooners. I take the Sooners, and I never take the Sooners just because I always want them to win. But I felt like it was a must-win scenario. They were a 3.5 underdog going into Tennessee. They come out victorious. They cover. They win. You know. It was awesome. I think it helped me out with the records. I think that moves me to 4-7.
Correct. Both you
7
and Goodfella moved to 4-7.
And you are 7-4.
Correct.
Okay. So this week I'm going to go with Texas A&M. They are favored to win over Missouri 7.5. I believe the rationale for this pick is that I believe that Missouri is down to their third string quarterback.
They are.
Okay, so I think the injuries are mounting up, and I like Missouri, even though I believe they're on the road to cover this spread against the Tigers. And now we will pivot to those that are on the hot seat.
Let's okay. So the shenanigans that are going on with coaching right now, unbelievable. In my opinion, it started with Mike Gumney, but I think there was one maybe even before that, if not two. Here's my thing. I really feel like there needs to be an NCAA rule come out that says unless you have cause, and cause can't be performance, unless you have cause, your head coach has to remain the head coach through the end of the season. Because here's the thing. Who is it benefiting for these guys to be losing their jobs?
No one.
Nobody.
No.
Money is leaving. Kids are having to choose another school. The kids that are left are getting their brows beat because it's not the team that they signed up for. Like, nobody is winning here.
And it's bad football.
Yeah, it's bad for football. Why can't we wait till the end of the year? Why can't we wait till the season's over and do it that way? I just don't see the benefit of doing it mid-year, and I don't know why schools are doing it. I think Clemson will wait to do it to the end of the year, and I think that'd be a great move.
Yeah, I wonder if one of those deals to where after the first firing, and then it's almost one of those deals to where it's almost positioning for the next coach. Like if you were on the fence with a coach and now you see this one is available, do I fire mine in hopes that I can get something? It's a scary game to play right now. And I am thankful that we're not in a situation to where we're losing our coach in middle of the year because you don't know where your team is going to go. What if, OSU, like I haven't even heard a conversation about who is possibly up next for them. There hasn't been any words out, and you got these players who are playing, and their alliance typically now is for the coach that they were recruited by, not necessarily like the team itself. I think that that's kind of gone now. You'll rarely see a player that's playing all 4 years unless they have to play all 4 years. Because NIL. So it's not really about the coaches, it's about the money right now. And they're firing these coaches. With you, if it's not by fault, if it's not something that is significant to where they should be asked to be removed from their position, you wait till the season's over, right? If you want to do it at the bowl game, do it at the bowl game. But you don't do it in the middle of the year right now when you are, positioning yourself. Some are, getting close to the playoffs, or you probably gonna have a chance. But I don't know. I'm not a fan of it, but it is here. It's the first year that I've seen anything like this. I'm hoping as they do negotiations in the off season that they can put that in the contracts for the universities to have the coaches sign, because they deserve to be able to finish out a season if it was without cost.
I don't know if it's Arkansas or OSU who terminated first. I think it was OSU. Oklahoma
But I
State.
think UCLA was the one that I'm thinking of. I feel like UCLA may have been before OSU.
Okay. Well, the one that, because our close proximity with Stillwater and out of it, it's not even mentioned, at all as a job vacancy. And that OSU fire with each preceding fire or termination is worse and worse for OSU, because the likelihood of a big time coach or a coach with good experience coming in, and that's probably the one. And I don't defend Stillwater ever, but I did not agree with letting Mike Gundy go because of his success level at OSU. I know he'd had some recent mishaps, but there was nothing good that came of that scenario. And now you have hot spots everywhere popping up, and good luck trying to get, somebody who can maybe quickly turn that program around. I mean, OSU seems to be on the precipice of absolutely, no football, and I don't say that lightly. It just seems that bad right now. Can't even, get a victory against the Kansas Jayhawks. And so,
Whoa.
Yeah, sorry, Goodfella. I didn't mean to offend but they can't. And the fact of the matter is that I did mention this earlier on. Hugh Freeze, Jackson Arnold was going to bring down Hugh Freeze, and he did. They fell right into that trap. And I don't remember, I think it's right around when we were playing Auburn, there was some podcast the Iceberg was going on about. I could guarantee you, I wish that group would look, and say, hey, you guys were right because we have been right. Trust a group of guys who have watched Sooner football day in, day out for years and watched everything that happened last year. There was no hyperbole to that Jackson Arnold talk. That was real talk. Jackson Arnold was going to bring down Hugh Freeze, and he did. And we deserve at least 10 subscribers extra from the Auburn base for that.
Yeah, I just, money's going out the door that could be spent on NIL. Priorities are all over the place. I do not. And here's the thing: nobody's moving, right? Nobody's hired.
Nope.
I can't think of one of the coaches' vacancies that's been open this entire year that somebody has nabbed up somebody else. So, and I hate to bring his name up, but Sarkisian made that comment, like, why are we doing this if you're not filling the positions? Like it's not good for football. It's not good for kids. I'd like to see something done about it. Last two things, and I apologize that I didn't give you guys any notice that I was going to do this.
No, this is good.
I found a picture on my phone from August 21st when ESPN comes up out with their matchup predictor odds. We always talk about it that first week.
Yep.
Okay, so I just want to circle back. I also have our game by game, because I keep receipts, Goodfella, our game by game predictions here. I just
Love
want
it.
want to visit those real quick. So Illinois State, we were a 98% favored to win. Okay. Michigan, we were 48% favored to win. Okay. So we beat that. Temple, 93. Auburn, 58. Kent State, 98. Texas, we were only at 15% favored to win. Okay. That's one of our losses, of course. South Carolina, do you guys remember this? We were only 29%. We were 29% favored to win at South Carolina. That's crazy to me. Ole Miss, we were 43%.
Should have won that one.
Okay. And Tennessee. Okay, this is 26%. We were only 26% favored to win that. And so that's a good flip there.
We flipped it. It's good. Yeah, we flipped.
Alabama, we back in August, 20%. Missouri, 58%, even back in August. And then LSU, 45%. But for me, just to see the Tennessee and the South Carolina, like for those to be in the 20s, and those are two of our SEC wins, like I really feel like we've outperformed what the nation predicted us to do thus far.
Yeah, road dogs this year. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
It is amazing to watch, to go on the road and, bounce back. I mean, that tells you a lot about a football team right there.
Yep.
One thing I hate about it, you don't get to hear, "Unhitch the wagon."
All right. So at this time,
What did
Okay.
you say? I couldn't understand what you
I see you don't
said.
hear, unhitch the wagon.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
yeah,
You don't get to bring the wagon down.
at this time, let's start with the Goodfella. Goodfella, you had us 7-2. Okay, 7-2 after Tennessee.
Who's my losses?
Our losses were going to be South Carolina and Ole Miss. So that's pretty good. That's a 50-50 right there. That's a pretty good. St. Pablo, your prediction was guess what?
Undefeated.
Were we
9-0.
undefeated? Yeah.
Your
okay.
prediction was 9-0. Okay. Turns out we're not.
Yeah,
But
well, with the asterisks, our quarterback got a little dinged up, but he's a warrior. Couldn't
stop.
predict her.
We didn't know how good Mateer was or wasn't going to be when we did this. Okay. Iceberg, I had us at 7-2. My losses were Michigan and Tennessee. Okay. Neither one of those are correct. So as of right now, Goodfella's tracking along with the prediction, the best prediction for the Sooners. We'll see if we can keep the 9-3. Goodfella, your next loss does come at Alabama, and then you have us winning the next two. Okay.
It's good to be wrong sometimes.
St. Pablo, your losses are Alabama and LSU. I have us losing at Alabama and LSU also. So that'll be interesting. We all have a loss at Alabama. I think I can recall us saying there's going to be a redemption on their side. So we'll see what that looks like. We surprised the heck out of them last year. So there will be a little bit of a redemption factor.
The juggernaut is going to be LSU. They don't have a coach. So
right. Yeah. LSU game will be interesting. It'll be interesting to see how they perform these next couple weeks before they come to Norman.
Yep.
All right. Final thoughts, gentlemen.
Man, it's always great to get on here and talk OU football. Excited to see the confidence back into the locker room. The fight in Venables. I think he is truly right now in his best form with this defensive play calling. He is doing some great things on that side of the ball. I'm excited to see what happens on this bye week in terms of Mateer and recovery. If he comes out and plays like he did the second half and we get a complete game out of him in 2 weeks, Bama, you don't have a chance.
All right. St. Pablo, any final thoughts?
Go Wolverines. I think with each passing week as they're successful, it looks like a better win more and more. And I hope they beat Ohio State for the 5th straight season in a row. And I think, 3 games left. There's still a lot of chaos all throughout college football. It'll be interesting to me to see if a 9-3 SEC team that is O&U gets in there. I sure hope it's not the Longhorns. But it's going to be fun down the stretch. I like your confidence, Goodfella. I would be happy with a 52-yarder from Sandell to walk out of there with a 3-point victory as time fades away in Tuscaloosa and we roll back to Norman with another W on the road.
Yeah, we'll record the podcast for next week when we go to Tuscaloosa. I think it's going to be a dogfight. That team's pretty tough, but I have some faith in the Sooners, and we'll see what happens. So let's cue up the exit video here, St. Pablo. That'll do it for episode 12 of Sooner Soundwaves. Again, OU victorious over Tennessee, headed into the bye week. We'll see you next week to talk about Alabama and our lock week. Thank you all. We'll see you next time.
Boomer.
Here comes
Sooner.
Here comes the.
Texas.
Here comes the. Y'all don't really want it like that.